Hey, Kyle, it's wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's AEW Dark Elevation and BTE from July 25th, 2022. And we'll start as usual with BTE. Kind of a shorter episode this week, but I will say stick around for Elevation because it was one of the best elevations I've ever seen. And I think last week was one of the worst elevations I've ever seen. So really cool to have it to go. I did mention last week they had so much going on with both Rampage and Dynamite last week that they maybe didn't want to wear the or like 2 weeks ago when it was blood and guts and stuff. So maybe they didn't want to wear the crowd out when they still had a pretty big Rampage that same week. So that could have explained why I was a little less than thrilling elevation last week, but this week was amazing. So stick around for that. We just got a short Being the Elite to get to. So it's Being the Elite episodes 316, and it's also called 316. So you know what that means. We start this week's show with a bunch of AEW talent doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin what gimmick. So everyone's backstage at the arena in Duluth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, and that's where Dynamite was last week. So I just quickly wrote down the order of what who we saw do the what chant, and it was Christopher Daniels, Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Danhausen, who said pardon instead of what, and then there was a referee, Sammy, and Tay, who said Tay said K, which is Spanish and Portuguese for what. Tony Schiavone, Hook was there, but he didn't say anything. And then John Silver at the end hits a stunner on someone I didn't quite know who it was, and Silver dances around saying "sexy Stone Cold" over and over while dancing. So that was kind of funny. Then the glass shatters like Austin's music as the BTE opening song and video plays. So out of all the people that did the what thing, the best was Wardlow. They, like, people weren't really trying to imitate; they were just saying what, basically, but Wardlow's was the best one by far. So after the opening video, we hear Brandon Cutler behind the camera, and we're looking at a closed door backstage in the arena, it looks like. So Cutler is expecting to open the door for the Young Bucks locker room, but instead it's the janitor's closet. Maybe yet another the cleaner Kenny Omega reference there. So now we see Brandon walking. So who's even holding onto the camera? We can see both of his hands. Anyway, Brandon looks around for the Young Bucks and discovers that the Bucks are not there this week. So the Bucks weren't in Duluth, Georgia for Dynamite after losing their tag titles the week before to Swerve in Our Glory without even being pinned. So that was kind of a letdown for a lot of the FTR fans who wanted the big FTR Young Bucks 4 titles on the line, but maybe we'll still get there somehow. Anyway, no Young Bucks on BTE this week, which is kind of weird, but that's kind of why it's a shorter episode. So also last week, just to remind us what happened last week, we saw Hangman chilling near the entrance where the Young Bucks had just lost their titles. They saw Hangman there, but then Hangman ran away. And then the next thing we saw was Matt Jackson in the trainer's room getting looked at, and he tells Brandon Cutler to cut the camera off. So we have not seen the Young Bucks since then. So maybe a lot has happened. Brandon does his best to host the show this week. And then the next thing we see is Matt Hardy with a hood over his head. So Matt has been repenting for all of his sins week after week on BTE now. First, he apologized to Matt Jackson for hurting all of his friends, among other things. And then last week, Matt Hardy told Private Party to beat him up, and he also gave them checks for all the money Matt stole from them. So this week, Matt again walks up to Private Party, and Isiah Kassidy says, "What the F do you want? You're back here again. You didn't learn your lesson." So Matt Hardy says, "What happened last week, I deserved every single bit of it. So in my book, I feel good with you. But what I wanted to ask you is, where are the Butcher and the Blade? Because I need to make things right with them too." So Quen says, "Well, funny thing is, they're right behind this door." So then they open the door, and the Butcher and the Blade are just standing there, completely ready for a fight, as if they knew this was going to happen. So that was funny. Matt Hardy goes into the room and gets absolutely destroyed. We are assuming because the door shuts, and we hear a bunch of banging noises, and then wait, no, before the door shuts though, he gives Matt Hardy gives the Butcher and the Blade checks and says, hurt me, so then we hear the banging sounds, and Matt is taking his beating to repent here, and Private Party laugh, and then the Butcher and the Blade walk out, Butcher holding on to both checks, and then Private Party open the door to see Matt Hardy with the red stuff leaking out of his mouth. So the private party laugh at this, and we go on to the next scene. This one wasn't too good, or that Matt Hardy stuff was pretty good. So I'm wondering what's going to happen next week. Maybe it'll be Angelico or something like that. So next scene we see is Leva, or yeah, Leva Bates, and she's at an amusement park wearing a tiara that reads bride. So her and Peter Avalon drunkenly got married at a drive-through and during Double or Nothing weekend in Vegas. So she's on the phone to Peter Avalon, and Leva says, "I'm here. You're late. Where are you? You're late for your own honeymoon." Uh, and then I'm even wearing something special for it. So hurry up. I'm waiting for you at the Lego store. Meet me there. So Peter is then wearing a Mickey Mouse ears, we see, and he's out of breath from running. Peter calls Leva on a 1990s looking cell phone and says, "Hey, I just got your message. Sorry, I'm late for our honeymoon. Just got to downtown Disney. I'm in front of the Lego store. Did I miss you? Where you at?" So she says, "Oh, now I'm at the Pin Traders." So then basically they keep going the spots. Next was Starbucks, and after that, was at the front gate, and they kept calling each other back and forth. It lasted a little too long to get to the joke, which the joke was Leva was in Disney World and Pretty Peter Avalon was in Disneyland. And they're about one's in California and one's in Florida. So I mean that joke's funny right there, but they took too long to get there. And I like Leva and Peter, but this segment wasn't very good. So we'll just move on to the next one. Back at the arena for Dynamite, we see Jungle Boy about to walk out of the curtain to make his return. Then we saw Jericho Appreciation Society getting raised up in the shark cage. We saw Anna Jade turning heel, and then we saw Sammy helping Jericho win. So no Young Buck, anything on this episode of BTE. So the next scene is Ryan Nemeth. He's been talking to animals about wrestling. This is the third week in a row, but these have been pretty funny so far. So the questions he asked to a cat and a dog are: do you watch BTE? Who's your favorite Young Buck? Do you think Bray Wyatt is joining the Dark Order? Gun Club, yes or no? Mary F or oof, everyone in Team Taz. If you're playing basketball, would you rather pick Orange Cassidy or Paul White? Which one of those two would punch harder? Do you like Dark Elevation? Is Bray Wyatt the Forbidden Door? So that was again Ryan Nemeth asking a cat and a dog all those questions. Ryan then finishes the segment by putting his sunglasses and jacket on the dog and says the dog broke his glasses. It's missing one of the ear parts. So anyway, Ryan asks Peter Avalon then in a separate segment, but in the same segment, but somewhere else. He asks Pretty Peter Avalon who his favorite member of the Wingmen is. Peter says himself, but Ryan says no, and Peter says, well, Cesar Bononi, and then Ryan says correct. So I didn't know what that joke was, but that seemed funny. And then the video starts glitching out at the end. So that was something we saw in Ryan Nemeth's segments before all these animal ones for 3 weeks now. It was these weird glitching things. So hopefully we're not done. I mean, I would just rather have him asking these funny questions to animals, like 2 different Bray Wyatt ones this time. So anyway, after that we see This was the like pretty big story part of the episodes. So this was the important thing, other than the Matt Hardy, his whole story. So we see Hangman Adam Page, John Silver, Alex Reynolds, and 10 at a birthday party. The cake's already been eaten, and John Silver's on the phone trying to get a hold of Anna Jay. Then they're trying to figure out what's going on with her. So this must be after Dynamite. Hangman looks beyond drunk at this point. Looks like he's been drinking heavily in this segment. We don't see any beer, but he's acting drunk. Evil Uno comes in. He's drinking a 10-gallon jug of water that he eventually like spills all over himself. But Hangman then says, "Surprise! We see a sign that reads Happy Birthday, Evil Uno and Anna." So wow. Then they tell Uno that they ate all the cake. So here's some broccoli. Uno says, "Thanks, I hate it, but for you guys, I'll eat the broccoli." That's when Uno spills water all over himself, then tries to eat the broccoli but spits it out. Then they ask Evil about Anna, and it's discovered that Uno did not see what happened with Anna on Dynamite. So they say, yeah, Anna lowered a shark cage, breaking the number 1 rule of Dark Order. So Evil Uno is livid. We see a rare mad Evil Uno here, and he says, during Shark Week and everything. So then we find out that the criteria for joining Dark Order is, have you ever lowered a shark cage before? And if not, you're in. So um, they're just completely writing Anna Jay out of the out of Anna Jay's kicked out of the Dark Order because she broke the #1 rule, which was lowering any shark cage at any time in your life, which is hilarious. So Hangman then gets furious about Anna, and Reynolds crosses her name off the birthday sign. So she's broken the biggest rule of Dark Order, which is don't lower shark cages, and that was the end of BTE. So I like that joke there. Um, Shorter episode this week since the Young Bucks weren't at Dynamite, but it is nice to see that the Anna Jay thing was addressed with the Dark Order already. The Disney segment was terrible, but we get some further progression with the Matt Hardy redemption storyline. Next week, it'll probably be Angelico, but I would not mind if he can somehow find Jack Evans. Maybe Matt can give him a wig instead of a check, because remember, Matt Hardy got Jack Evans booked in that hair versus hair match versus Orange Cassidy without Evans even wanting to be in it, and got Jack Evans shaved bald, and then Jack Evans was never seen in AEW again, maybe one other time, but that would be the ultimate redemption story, and it would be hilarious if he just gives him a wig or something instead. So hopefully we see something like that. Now let's get into one of the best episodes of Dark Elevation I've ever seen. We've got AEW Dark Elevation from July 25th, 2022. This was recorded before Dynamite on July 20 in Duluth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. So we start this week's Elevation with, "Oh my God, is that Private Party?" And I think that's how we've been starting like 2 or 3 um, elevations in a row with that song. So anyway, it's AFO's Private Party and Angelico. So they have had one trios match exactly a year ago, losing the Christian and Jurassic Express on Dynamite. Almost exactly a year ago, these guys had their one and only trios match. Private Party has a record in 2022 of 5-4, and Angelico is 2-0 in 2022. So all three dance to the ring. They've got different dance styles. They're dancing to the shot song. No Angelico music in this one. So their opponents are going to be Adrian, Alanis, and Liam Gray, who are collectively known as the Skulk. And then their partner is a legend at only 34 years old, AR Fox. If you've never seen AR Fox before, you are in for a treat. He is a veteran who has trained many people, including Swerve. And if you watch Lucha Underground, AR Fox was Dante Fox, and Swerve was his big rival kill shot. So really looking forward to this. This is AR Fox's AEW debut. So like I said, he's teaming with Adrian Alanis and Liam Gray, who are regular tag partners. Their team is the Skulk, and they have a tag record in AEW of 0-11 and a trios record of 0-1. So hopefully AR Fox gets to showcase some of his talent in this match, and he definitely does. So the announcers for this week's episode of Elevation is Excalibur, Caprice, Coleman, and Mark Henry. Nobody joins them throughout the entire night, but they have a really good chemistry, these three guys. Caprice Coleman definitely better out there than um, what's his name? Paul White. He's like always just going to be the Big Show to me, or the Giant, either one of those two. Now Mark Henry says that he's known AR Fox for a long time, which is pretty cool, since AR Fox has pretty much only been in the independent scene and Lucha Underground, a couple of matches here and there. Like he was heavily involved in Evolve, and almost like a player coach for Evolve. He's more of a trainer, I think, nowadays. So even though he's only 34 and he's freaking amazing. So I think people forget how much of a fan Mark Henry is of pro wrestling. It can be easy to label him as like an ex-athlete who only wrestled for WWE in his career, but Mark Henry did grow up a huge wrestling fan, and it makes sense that he would still be a fan today. So he's probably seen some of AR Fox's matches and been like, dang, this guy's good. So anyway, Liam Gray and Angelico will start this match, and the crowd is super loud before any action even starts here. That's a common theme throughout this elevation, which may help make this one of the best elevations ever. So shout out to the Duluth/Atlanta crowd in this for this episode of Elevation. So Angelico gains wrist control on Liam right away. Liam shows some good technical skill to free himself out of it, and Liam gets wrist control now. But of course, Angelico is able to flip out and counter out. Some great technical wrestling from these guys, Angelico especially. So Liam then counters back, and Angelico hits an arm drag, then dances around. Liam's able to attack during that dance and take control, tagging in Adrian Alanis. The Skulk then hit a nice double team move on Angelico. Quen then charges in without tagging right into a double back body drop. So Isiah decides to stay on the apron after seeing that, which was a good idea. Isiah is now able to tag in. He puts a headlock takedown on Adrian, and Quen then pulls Adrian out of the ring. Isiah hits a beautiful tope con hero over the top ropes to the outside. Now tag the Quen and Private Party hit a nice double team of their own. Great match so far, and we haven't even gotten to see AR Fox in the match yet. So another Private Party double team as Quen leaps off the back of Isiah, hitting a really nice looking drop kick to Liam on the apron, sending him crashing to the outside. That move was awesome. It was like the Isiah got punched when he was over there, so he had just fallen to the ground, and then Quen leaped off his back. It was like they made it look fluid. So Quen wastes a little bit of time here talking trash to AR Fox on the apron. This allows Adrian to reverse the next move into a vertical suplex, and now AR Fox and Angelico tag in. So here we go. Two Lucha Underground guys here, although they never met in the ring in Lucha Ground or anywhere else in the world for that matter. So Fox then hits two lariats and then falls back and nips up to dodge an attack from Angelico. That was amazing. Right after that, Fox hits an enziguri kick. So all of that was just really quickly done and so fluid. So AR Fox still has his do-rag on after all that. It's not moving an inch, which makes it even cooler that he's doing all these moves with his do-rag not falling off. So Fox then follows that opening flurry with a huge leaping elbow, then a rolling cutter that was cool. Both men were rolling on the move because he did like a head lock takeover. That was awesome. So how is this man not signed to a major promotion? I looked it up. AR Fox has only had one match in all of 2021, and this is only his fifth match in 2022. So like I said, he's only 34, but he does have 15 years of experience, probably hard wear and tear on his body. Plus, we already know that AR Fox loves to train people and is a very good trainer. But at 34 years old and all the moves that AR Fox can do, unless it's injury problems, which I didn't research if he has injury problems, I don't know why this amazing wrestler has only had 6 matches in a 2-year span. So AR Fox, we got to look up at some point, and I'll try and let you know maybe tomorrow on Dark or later tonight actually, because I'm recording this later. But anyway, right after that rolling cutter, Private Party run in and help Angelico. AR Fox then takes both Marq and Isiah with super innovative offense. Like there was a leg trip in there. I don't think I've ever seen that before in wrestling, and I've been watching so much. So anyway, with absolute ease now, AR Fox hits the standing shooting star press. He didn't even run into it, right off the apron to the outside on Quen just by standing there. The crowd's going absolutely wild. AR Fox just absolutely dazzling in his debut here, just like I figured he would. So Fox is about to slingshot back into the ring, but Isiah catches him with a cutter, and then Angelico applies the Navarro death roll right after that, forcing AR Fox to tap out. So great opening match to start this week's episode. It just keeps getting better from here, really. But that was a great way to open the match or the night, and this match was better than anything we've seen in the last couple of weeks on Elevation by far. And that ending too was fine. Fox got to showcase his amazing moves, taking out 3 men at once, but the 3-on-1 attacks were too much for Fox to overcome in the end. So I think that was a perfect way to debut AR Fox, and I hope we get to see him again. He would be awesome to have in ROH if they don't want him in AEW. So anyway, next match is going to be Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose taking on Angelica Risk and Shalonce Royale. And this is the third week in a row that Marina Shafir's and Nyla Rose have tagged together. They have a tag record of 2-1. Their only loss was the Thunderstorm. And Marina's record is 11-5. Nyla's is 72-31. And Nyla is the number 5 ranked woman on the roster. So Vicky Guerrero accompanies both of them to the ring. And wow, I forgot about Marina Shafir's new hair color. It's like so drastically different from what I used to. It's kind of shocking to see here. So their opponents will be Angelica Risk and Shalonce Royal. And Shalonce is a woman that sings opera in her matches, a Taz favorite. I'm sure you've seen her on Dark or Dark Elevation before. And she's also, Shalonce is a regular in OVW. She has an AEW record of 0-7. She was last seen in March, losing to Emi Sakura on Dark. So Angelica Risk is 0-11 as well, or not as well, but 0-11 in AEW. Angelica and Shalonce just had a match against each other on July 9th. That Angelica won, so they know each other just from fighting against each other too. So we start the match. It'll be Nyla Rose just absolutely destroying Angelica Risk with a big boot as we start. So here we go with her, a more kind of uncomfortable to watch Nyla just destroying smaller women. It's not really for me. I don't like to watch the smaller ones just get absolutely destroyed here. Anyway, it's at least it's not sky blue for once. So Vicky's screaming on the outside just to make this whole scene even better. Nyla then hits a few big giant beals, and the camera focuses on a very funny face on Marina as she wants to tag in. That was hilarious that the camera would cut right there. They found a funny face on her and they went with it. So Marina's in now, and Angelica Risk is already in trouble. This is not going to last long. Some more huge strikes now by Marina into a judo throw. That new hair coloring on Marina Shafir might be some of the worst I've ever seen. It's like brown, auburn, and pink, but in random spots. It's just like, oh, doesn't look good. Anyway, Nyla tags in and then distracts Angelica, or destroys, I should say. Nyla comes in and just absolutely Angelico was already destroyed, but then a burning hammer from Nyla Rose, and this is getting tough to watch. So Shalonce then sings opera while breaking up the pin. That was funny, but I'm sure Risk would have much preferred the match to have just ended there, because then Risk gets beat up even more. Tagged to Marina now, who kicks Shalonce off the apron while Nyla holds on the wrist. Big boot and a spine buster double team on Angelico Risk, and Marina makes the pin for the 1-2-3. So your winners of the match are Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose by pinfall. And what a beatdown that one was. Shalonce was never even tagged in. That was by far the worst match of the night. But everything else is great from this point on. So big match next. We've got Emi Sakura versus Toni Storm, and this one ends up being really good. So Emi Sakura's music hits next, always a favorite of mine, and she's brought one of her Choco Pro wrestlers with her. Unfortunately, it's not Lulu Pencil or Mei Saruga. It is instead Baliyan Akki, who is Mei Saruga's mixed tag partner in the team called Best Bros. Akki is also the current singles champion in Choco Pro. All the titles in Choco Pro are intergender. So Emi comes into this match with a 31-28 record in AEW. She's 18-6 in singles matches, however. Then her opponent comes out next. It's Toni Storm. Huge cheers from the crowd, just absolutely huge cheers. She's one of the most popular, not only women, but people on the roster, period. So Toni Storm comes into this match with a record of 11-2, and she's 8-2 in singles matches. Toni Storm is ranked number 2 in the top 5, and her only losses are to Britt Baker in the Owen Hart Tournament semifinals and to Thunder Rosa with the title on the line at Forbidden Door. So this is the first time meeting between Emi and Toni in a singles match, which is kind of surprising, but I'm assuming that Toni has wrestled many of Emi's students. Emi is one of the biggest trainers of women's wrestling in Japan. And so many great women have been trained by Emi, so I'm guaranteed some of them have fought Toni's time in Japan. So she should be familiar with the style here. And Toni gets to the ring, stares down Emi, but Toni turns her back right away to play to the like cheer with the crowd or whatever. So Emi just attacks from behind, rightfully so, if you ask me. So why stare someone down and then just turn away like that? So but Senpai Emi here with another lesson already taught here before the bell even rings. So this gets major boos. This attack from behind gets major boos from the crowd. The crowd's fired up for this one. So Emi is super aggressive here, more aggressive than we've seen in a while. So Emi stays on the attack. The crowd boos even more. She's all fired up for this one. Emi looks fired up, and it looks like she might have brand new gear on. Basically looks like the old gear, just a little more expensive and special looking, brighter, stuff like that. So maybe Emi can finally break her 959-day streak of not getting on Dynamite. Maybe we'll get that broken this week. I won't hold my breath though. We're almost to 1,000 days of Emi being there almost every single week. Some of them times she's not there, but she was there probably 65%, if not more, of those Dynamites she was on. Anyway, Emi then throws Storm into the ropes throat first, and we're still at that beatdown right at the beginning of the match. Immediately after this, Emi hits a big boot and a chop with a hair beel. Storm tries to fight back, but Emi just counters with another a beel attempt with a Mongolian chop. So then Emi tosses Storm with another hair beel, and maybe since Toni knows Joshi wrestling so well, it was Toni's call here to give Emi more offense than usual. We actually get a really competitive match here, which we don't usually get out of Emi Sakura. And this match ends up being awesome because of it. One of the best women's matches in AEW all year is on Elevation right here. Emi Sakura versus Toni Storm. Watch this match. So anyway, The referee then tells Emmy to lay off the hair, so she hilariously says, "Oh, I'm sorry," and that was really funny. So Emmy is great. Emmy then ties up Storm into a ball with the Paradise Lock, just like Sonata, if you watch New Japan, and then Emmy sits on Toni Storm's back and then spanks Storm hard to break up the hold. But this was a mistake. The spanking just fires up Toni Storm, who hits elbow strikes, a drop toe hold, a basement drop kick, and a hair heel all in a row. Great flurry there. The crowd absolutely loved it. But Emmy blocks the next move and applies the Dragon Sleeper, a new move that we don't really see, like Dragon Sleepers and Emmy blocking moves after getting hit with flurry. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? We actually get a competitive match with Emmy Sakura, who I know can go, but she's just, like I said, I mean, she hasn't even been on Dynamite in 958 days now. So anyway, giant boos from the crowd again here. Emmy then hits Crossroads out of nowhere, but that doesn't even go for the pin. Emmy is just kind of talking tons of trash here to Storm instead of, she's just here to teach Storm a lesson. She doesn't even care about records and stuff, which is hilarious. Like, Emmy is such a great heel in this match. Just made the match even better. So instead, she chops Storm hard across the chest again. Storm gets up mad and chops Emmy hard now, and Emmy likes it. She's happy to exchange chops here. So then they have a brutal chop exchange, and Emmy knocks down Storm with a two-handed chop after a few back and forth. So Emmy mockingly chants for Toni with the crowd now. Emmy's just on fire with her heel work in this crowd. I hope people in the back were taking notes. Storm then gets up, hits a few forearms, but Emmy stops the attack right away with a deep and devastating chest rake. Haven't seen a chest rake in a long time, but we see one here from Emmy to Storm. Storm then blocks the Queen's Gambit backbreaker attempt, but Emmy keeps control, however, with some shoulder tackles. And this is the best Emmy match in AEW for a long time, maybe ever. And it had to be Storm that says, let's have a competitive match. There's the only reason I can see why. Usually we see Emmy's 5 moves of doom in a pretty short match. And we're actually getting to see Emmy have a competitive real match here. Storm then throws Emmy out of the ring, and let's see if she can have any better luck brawling. She's been getting destroyed so far as Toni Storm. So Emmy then drops to her knees to avoid getting spiked with the tornado DDT on the outside. Great veteran move to drop to her knees there. Storm then looks for the tornado DDT a second time, and this time it's blocked again by and then hits a big chop to Toni's chest. Chest is turning really red on Toni at this point from some big chops. A little boy is now yelling at Emmy in the front row, so Emmy talks trash to the child. Again, take notes, people. Emmy Sakura is showing you all how to be a good heel. Just everything Emmy does is so great in this match. She's now talking trash to a little boy in the crowd, and that's not even it. She then takes Toni Storm and right in front of the boy throws Toni Storm into the barricade. Amazing heel work from Emmy Sakura. Then she throws Storm into the apron, back into the barricade, and then the next apron shot was blocked by Storm, and she's on their third attempt here, able to hit the tornado DDT she's been looking for. And Emmy got planted on the mat outside of the ring. That looked nasty. It must have hurt. So Emmy's now yelling. Don't forget she brought Akki to the ring with her, and she's like, help me up. But then Storm stares down Akki, sending him away. Then Storm rolls Emmy into the ring and hits her with a top rope crossbody, but Emmy kicks out at 2. Really competitive match here. So a huge let's go Toni chant from the crowd now, and this is one of the loudest crowds for an AEW women's match since Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa at Forbidden Door, which was very loud. The crowd loved that match, and they were respecting it even before it started. Beautifully crafted match here, just to taking the crowd on the journey. This one that we're watching right here now. Toni Storm spanks her butt. She's signaling for the Umaga hip attack, but Akki pulls Emmy out of the corner. So more boos from the crowd now. Emmy then hits the "We Will Chop You" chops, then into the running crossbody in the corner, one of her signature moves. Emmy then misses a delayed version of the or no, she hits it. Emmy hits a massive delayed version of the Queen's Gambit backbreaker, one of her finishers. But Storm somehow kicks out of this, and I'm not sure how, because I'm not sure how Storm had any energy left, but maybe you could say the crowd is what's keeping Storm going here. So Toni then counters another Queen's Gambit attempt with a nasty Alabama slam. Storm then spanks herself again and hits the massive Umaga running hip attack in the Emmy in the corner. It absolutely crushed Emmy. So Storm then hits another tornado DDT right after that, and immediately after that hits a pendulum DDT, and that gets the 1, 2, 3. So the winner of the match by pinfall is Toni Storm. Wow, what a great match. You have to go watch this one. This is one of the best women's matches in AEW of the year, and it could be the start of a great week of women's wrestling in AEW. We've got a big AEW women's title match, Thunder Rosa versus Miyu Yamashita on Dynamite, and I can't wait for that one. But we stay in the women's division for our next match right after that. So again, make sure you watch Emi Sakura versus Toni Storm. We stay in the women's division as Kris Statlander comes out next, again getting huge ovation and cheers from the crowd. Kris picked up her 50th win on AEW on Rampage, or no, she's looking for her 50th win here. So she got her 49th win. She teamed with Athena to beat up the Renegade twins easily on Rampage a couple weeks ago. Kris comes in with a 49-18 record, looking for her 50th win here, and is 35-7 in singles matches, which is good enough to rank her third currently in AEW. That's a pretty good record right there, 35-7 in singles matches. Her opponent tonight will be Brittany Jade, but yet again, she's only called Brittany. I guess there's only one Jade allowed in AEW. So we can have multiple people named Adam, Wheeler, Paige, and Matt, but nope, we can only have one Jade. So anyway, Brittany is only 24 years old, has 1 year experience, but she has great trainers, George South, Caleb Conley, JD Drake, and on commentary tonight, Caprice Coleman as well. So she's got great trainers. I've seen her in MLW as well as that match in AEW. So she's pretty good for having only 1 year experience. And we saw Brittany just last week on the Elevation teaming with Sky Blue, losing to Marina and Nyla. So Brittany is 0-3 in AEW, 0-2 in singles matches. She lost to AQA, which unfortunately AQA just decided to retire despite being young. She said the business is burning her out. So hopefully AQA can find her passion for wrestling again, because AQA was pretty good. So anyway, Brittany, her 2 singles losses were to AQA and Red Velvet earlier this year. So both on Dark, I believe. So Kris Statlander is only 2 years older than Brittany, but Statlander has about 200 more matches than Brittany. So a huge experience advantage here for Kris. Brittany's still only on like her 25th match in her career here. So huge cheers for Kris Statlander as she makes her entrance. So shout out to Duluth, Georgia, man. They were really cheering for these women hard. And Kris then looks super focused tonight. We see a little girl in the crowd. She's got her face glitter pattern, the face paint that Kris Statlander wears. She's got the same one. That's really cool to see. Now, right as the bell rings, Brittany's sticking her tongue out at Kris. Caprice Coleman right away talks about how he trained Brittany. So Kris easily overpowers Brittany to escape a waistlock. Then Kris with a headlock takedown. But Brittany counters this headlock into a head scissors. Kris does an amazing looking handstand right out of this, and then right fluidly into a drop kick, basement drop kick. So that was really nice from Kris Statlander. Brittany then counters the next move, but then charges right into a nice snap power slam by Kris Statlander. Kris then hits big running strikes in the corner. Brittany counters again, but Kris just uses that her power to avoid any attacks, lifting Brittany up high into the Night Fever, which is a package tombstone pile driver for the 1-2-3. Wow. Talk about a squash match, but the winner of the match, of course, by pinfall is Kris Statlander. It was short, but wow, a great showcase for Kris Statlander. She showed off some great strength moves, some great agility moves, and some great moves in her actual move set just in general, because I didn't even know she had that cool Night Fever. I don't remember that. I thought she's just been using the Vertebreaker lately. So that was awesome. So we've got our 4th women's match in a row next. So maybe it is the start of a great night of great week of women's wrestling in AEW. Much deserved. The women need their own show. They need their own 2-hour show, to be honest. But anyway, I'll take what we can get. And we've got our 4th women's match in a row here. Our first out is Robyn Renegade, and she's accompanied by her twin sister Charlette. And they have some great music. I hope it's up on YouTube, because I'm going to look that up later. The Renegade twins have some great music. Anyway, we've been seeing a lot of the Renegade twins lately. They both won on last week's Dark in the tag match. And then 5 days before that, they got absolutely destroyed by Athena and Kris Statlander. So Robyn Renegade has a record of 2-15 and is 1-12 in singles matches, meaning that Charlette wasn't wrestling in so many tag matches with her twin. It looks like Robyn is the leader and more experienced one. And again, she's going to be the one in the singles match here. So And her opponent is going to be the returning Hikaru Shida, who makes her entrance next. So again, the crowd just cheers super loudly this time for Shida. So they cheered so loudly for Toni Storm, Kris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida. Great stuff here. Shout out to the Duluth crowd. They love women's wrestling so much here. It's refreshing to see. I wouldn't mind them getting a women's only pay-per-view, Tony Khan. If you're looking for a spot for that, just put it right here in Duluth. They were loving these women. You could put a whole card together and they'll buy those tickets. So anyway, Robyn, wait, never mind. So we last saw Shida on the July 4th episode of Elevation. She teamed up with Yuka Sakazaki to defeat Heather Reckless and Lainey Luck. And then since then, Shida's flown back to Japan for matches in both Tokyo Joshi Pro and Pro Wrestling Wave. So Shida's always busy flying back and forth from Japan and America. That's why we don't see her on a weekly basis. But she is a valuable member, former women's champion in AEW as well. So Shida has an AEW record of 56-13. She's 43-7 in singles matches. So Shida will have to watch out for twin magic tonight. That's the switching of the twins, if you don't know what that is. And although Charlette does have her hair down tonight and Robyn's hair is up, so that could always change. You can always change your hair on the fly. So we'll see how this one shakes up. And anyway, Shida charges at Robyn right as the bell rings, but Robyn gets a rope break. Clean break by Shida, but Robyn shoves her in the chest hard and talks trash here. Robyn then ducks under a wild swing from Shida and kicks Shida right in the gut. But then Shida hits a really nice looking go behind to avoid a lariat. Then Shida hits misdirection and runs a different direction than Robyn would have thought, coming in with a running hurricanrana. That was cool. Then a running knee to the corner and mounted punches by Shida. Robyn tries to fight back, but then just eats a big punch again. So Charlette from the outside grabs Shida's leg. It was looking dangerous already for Robyn in there. So this allows Robyn to take control. The referee didn't see it. Shida then fights off Robyn with elbow strikes, and the referee checks on Robyn because that elbow strike was nasty, actually. So Charlette then punches Shida right in the face. Referee was checking on Robyn. Charlette then runs away, and Robyn slides out from the side to ambush Shida, and then huge chops by Robyn now. And Shida dodges the third chop, however, and hits multiple forearms, but then Robyn hits a backstabber and once they get back in the ring for a 2 count. That was a nice looking move by the 22-year-old. So I see a lot of people online trashing the Renegade twins, but you guys have to remember they're only 22. If they were 10-year veterans, then yeah, I would understand the hate that they get, but come on, people. They're allowed to learn on the job at the age of 22, let me tell you. So anyway, Shida then fires up after the backstabber and slaps the taste out of Robyn's mouth for all those cheating maneuvers. So Shida's fired up and sets up Robyn in the corner, hits a nasty knee strike to the head. Then Shida hits an equally nasty springboard meteora on a laying down Robyn. That looked great. Then a brain buster right after that, but somehow Robyn kicks out. So I don't know how that makes much sense. How did she kick out of that? It didn't look like she would have been able to. Anyway, Robyn's showing some that she's tough here, and then rakes the eyes and then bails out of the ring. And now twin magic takes place because Robyn and Charlette switch places, even though Charlette still has her hair down. So it's clear as day they weren't the same person. Charlette comes in the ring and just wrestles for Robyn now. Charlette hits a spine buster, but then when the referee comes down to make the pin, he notices it is the wrong twin. I don't know how he didn't notice before that. Robyn then charges from behind, but Shida dodges it, sending the twins into each other. The referee seemingly didn't call for either a disqualification, nor did he kick out Charlette from being ringside, which is weird, but I guess he just figured Shida can handle it. So Shida goes to the top rope, kicks Robyn, and lands on a splash with Charlette on the same top rope move. That was awesome. So Shida then hits the Falcon Arrow, her finisher, for the 1-2-3. The winner by pinfall is Hikaru Shida. Pretty good match here. The twins had to cheat, otherwise it would have only been a 2-minute match, and I'm completely fine with that because that just meant we got to watch more Shida tonight. So I now notice that Shida has Duluth written on her face. So give Duluth an all-women's show, an all-women's pay-per-view, Tony. Put it in Duluth. These guys truly showed that they love women's wrestling here in Duluth. Great stuff. So we got an interesting one next here. So we've got the Dark Order represented by Evil Uno and 10 taking on the Factory represented by Aaron Solo and Nick Camarado. And Uno and 10 were forced to team up with each other after their normal tag partners both left AEW. So that was Stu Grayson and Alan Angels, respectively. Since then, they've won all 5 of their tag matches together, undefeated as a duo. So they didn't even have any tag matches together before that. So now that they're 5-0, they've now been they're ranked number 4 in AEW currently on the tag team division. So, but a slip up tonight and they could drop right out of the rankings after only 1 week. So Aaron Solo and Nick Camarano come into this match with a 5-10 tag record together. The Dark Order and the Factory have been feuding for a long time now on Dark and Dark Elevation. So maybe the Factory feels like they're starting to win the battle. Dark Order keeps losing members. Meanwhile, the Factory is busy training the next generation of Factory members in their factory, obviously. And then pretty soon the Factory will dwarf the Dark Order if the Dark Order does not get on a recruiting spree, because pretty much they already are even with the people on the main roster. Dark Order is down to 4 members now that Anna Jay has left the group, and seemingly Colt Cabana's gone too. He's gone the only ROH. So the Factory already has 4-time full members, just like the Dark Order: QT, Aaron, Nick, and Anthony Agogo. So with them having so many fringe members in training right now, the Factory is about to have way more members in the Dark Order, when it was always the other way around beforehand, when they were having this long rivalry on. So this is a very, very important match for this rivalry. While there's still only 4 on each team before the tide starts turning in Factory's way, the Dark Order can't slip up in this match. Plus, they'll drop out of the rankings. So this is a really important one. The Factory come out first. They're accompanied by their coach, QT Marshall. He's wearing his finest bowling league shirt. And Dark Order then make their entrance to big cheers from the crowd. This crowd's so fired up for everything tonight. Shout out Duluth. So when we get a shot, then we get another shot while the Dark Order is coming out of that little girl with the Statlander makeup. She's holding up the Dark Order hand sign, and I think to myself, oh no, I hope she doesn't get heartbroken by Anna Jay leaving the Dark Order. So hopefully maybe Dark Order can find another woman to join. So just in case there was a certain section of like this little girl maybe enjoyed the Dark Order, because there was at least one girl in there as well. So it looks like the Factory now have new gear, a little bit brighter than usual. Either that or Dark is fine, or like AEW is finally putting Dark and Elevation on in 4K on YouTube, because I thought the same thing about Emi Sakura's gear earlier, that it looked like newer and brighter. NWA, as small as they are, they put their shows in 4K on YouTube, so I don't see why AEW can't. But anyway, it doesn't say Elevation's 4K when it's listed, but you never know. I don't trust everything I see. But anyway, Solo and Uno start this match out. Uno hits a shoulder tackle into a Manhattan drop using his size advantage here. Then Uno stomps on the fingers of Solo and hits a delayed vertical suplex. And usually it's only for 1 second when 10 does the 10-second version. But here Uno does the 10 seconds, and Excalibur says, oh, that's 9 seconds longer than usual for Uno. And without missing a beat, Mark Henry under his breath says, that's what she said. So I laughed at that. That was pretty good stuff. Almost Taz and Excalibur level of hilarity on commentary there. So Solo then bails the ring after that huge flurry, and Uno goes to follow him. Camarado comes in the ring and distracts the referee, and it looks like the Factory's ambush is about to work here, but Uno just ducks under QT Marshall's clothesline and continues to stalk Solo, throwing Solo back in the ring. But Nick still has the referee distracted, so QT just shoves Evil Uno into the ring post. The crowd boos big time, of course. So Camarado now throws Uno in the barricade when he goes back out and goes on the attack in the ring now. So I never saw a tag to Camarado, but I must have missed it. He's the legal man now. Nick talks to the ref so that QT can now take a cheap shot on Uno from the outside. Where are Reynolds and Silver? Do they not have manager license? It seems like they would be the kind of guys that if they asked Danhausen, Danhausen would hook them up with some manager license, just like best friends. So that's maybe something Silver and Reynolds should think about, especially if they're going to continue the feud with the Factory. They need a manager out there. They need all 4 members of the Dark Order to have manager license. So anyway, Factory then, or just get a manager to add to your stable. Anyway, Factory then used quick tags to isolate Uno, and Uno hits a jawbreaker to get out of this, then evades 2 more attacks to tag in 10. So 10 comes in for the first time this match, hitting big lariats on both men, then big, massive overhead suplexes to both men. That was awesome. Then a side slam on Camarado and a spine buster on Solo, and Marq calls him the Master Blaster, harkening back to WCW. So 10 has some of the best hot tag offense in AEW going right now. And if you combine that with the tag veteran Uno, who's definitely able to draw sympathy from the crowd very well, you've got yourself a winning formula right there. You got a tag veteran who can draw sympathy, and you got a big guy that can come in with some really good hot tag offense. So it sucks that they lost their friends Stu and Allen, but Evil and 10 being together might save their AEW careers. Just because this is a really good, solid tag team, Evil, Uno, and 10. So 10 then stays on the attack now. And there's a blind tag from Uno. They're able to hit a double team on Aaron Solo, but Nick just barely able to break up the pin. Nick then ducks under a lariat and spears 10. Big spear from Camarado here. Solo then hits a thrust kick on Uno, and they double team Uno now. Solo hits, but 10's able to push Nick right into the pin as it was about to be a 3 count. Rookie mistake there by Nick Camarado. But Uno also showed he needs to be careful. Uno now hits something evil on Solo, which is Baron Corbin's End of Days, the Pendulum Facebuster, or Flatliner, if you will. So great move there, the something evil by Uno. 10 down tags in, and he dives into the ring with a spear, hitting Camarado with that. Then Uno hits a stunner on Solo. Nick pulls Uno out of the ring, distracts the referee, while QT now hits a huge punch on 10. Solo rolls up 10, puts his feet on the ropes, and QT's holding onto his feet, but the referee sees this and then kicks out QT from being ringside. So right after that, Marq and Caprice are both singing Hit the Road Jack for QT. That was pretty funny. But Uno hits a DDT on the apron to Nick Camarado, while 10 hits a discus lariat on Solo for the 1-2-3 back in the ring. The winners of the match are the Dark Order. So that improves Evil Uno and 10's record to 6-0. All 6 of those wins coming in the last few months. And like I said, they definitely have a winning formula, and they also have really innovative offense. So and double team. So I hope this leads to more than just a randomly announced title match on Rampage at one point that lasts about 8 minutes, and then nothing is done with Evil Uno and 10 again. I think we got something good here. We can start building up a program and a story and stuff like that. Also, if Dark Order doesn't do any recruiting soon, they will be outnumbered by the Factory once they get their trainees ready. So something to think about as well. They've got an associate member right now, at least with Hangman Page, but you never know. As soon as Hangman might get some friends back in his life, he would probably ditch the Dark Order, or maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. So we got a huge match next. So it'll be Brandon Cutler versus Baron Black, and now that might not seem like a huge match if you're not quite in on what's going on here, but without any fanfare or acknowledgement, Baron Black dropped his AEW record and losing streak to 0 wins and 50 losses. That was just 2 weeks ago on Dark against Jorah Joel, who, don't forget, Jorah Joel is also part of Andrade Family Office. I'm sure everyone has forgotten that by now. But anyway, we also see that Baron we also saw Baron on Rampage just last week. He got taken out hard by Billy Gunn right after the Rat battle. So Baron has been improving. Baron Black has been improving a lot this year. Again, he's 0-50, but this year he's only had about 6 or 7 matches in AEW. The rest, he's been going all over the world, just improving, having tons of matches. I've been seeing Baron Blade do some great things. He stepped up his competition in the independents against people like Lee Moriarty, Jay Lethal, and Josh Woods. All 3 of these wrestlers are definitely better than Baron Black's opponent tonight, Brandon Cutler. So it should be a great chance for Baron to finally get his first AEW win on his 51st attempt. So out of that 0-50 record, 23 of those were singles losses. This will be Brandon Cutler's first match in any company since May 27th. He lost to Darby Allin on Dark in that match. So Baron will come out with this match. Baron Black's coming into this match much sharper with all those more recent huge matches, where meanwhile Brandon Cutler really hasn't been wrestling at all. Brandon Cutler has an AEW record of 11-42, and he's only 1-4 in 2022. So Brandon's had a little bit better luck in his singles matches, being only 9-19. That ups his winning percentage from about 20 to 29. overall versus singles. So let's be honest here. Brandon Cutler is a joke character at this point. Even his picture on the matchup screen is pure comedy. So Baron Black has a definite chance here. So Brandon Cutler comes out first. And yeah, the chances up instantly because we're going to have a storyline here. Brandon Cutler has a microphone. He cuts off Justin Roberts from Sega's introduction. And Brandon Cutler says, wait a second here. Do you people know who my best friends are? I'm friends with the Young Bucks, the two-time AEW Tag Team Champions. And with friends like that, you get perks, baby. I asked around to give him the match with the biggest loser in this company. And that would be you, Baron Black. What are you now? 0-50? I once had 0-25, and I thought that was bad. But you doubled it. And you're from Atlanta too, right? Oh, hometown hero. Buddy, you don't have a chance. So, wow, now not only do we see, we were already thinking Baron Black had a chance to finally get his first win in his 51st match. Now they have story where they're acknowledging it, and it's in his hometown. So, wow, I really hope Baron Black can win this one. And right when he says, buddy, you don't have a chance, this causes Baron Black to hit a nasty looking spinning back chop. That looked awesome. So this knocks Brandon right down off the bat here, and the bell rings to start the match. Brandon's still in his tracksuit. Baron hits a running chop and then takes the jacket off so that he can hit 4 big nasty chops on the chest of Cutler. So Cutler's already in trouble here. Baron Black then walks into a trap, and Cutler throws Baron into the turnbuckle. Cutler then hits a scoop slam and 3 elbow drops while dancing terribly. And I did not mention this yet, but Cutler, when he was doing that promo at the beginning, when he was talking, he made sure the talk as annoying as possible. And now he's making sure his dancing is the worst ever. So it might be cringe, but at least Brandon Cutler's committed to this role for what it's worth. But the main reason he's doing all this is to get the crowd to absolutely hate him, and they definitely do. So they have a striking exchange now in the middle of the ring after those exaggerated elbow drops, and Baron hits a great go behind to hit a snap German suplex. Baron then deadlifts Cutler off the ground and hits a nasty looking sit down power bomb. Cutler kicks out of this at 2 somehow, and the crowd is cheering super loud for Baron Black to get his first win here in his hometown. Referee then pulls Baron out of the corner that was getting like rope break type deal. Cutler uses the cold spray in Baron Black's eyes, so I'm like, uh-oh, don't tell me. So Cutler then yells out, super kick party, and then he hits a super kick, but Baron Black kicks out at 2. All right, here we go. Baron then counters the BTE trigger attempt from Cutler with an inside cradle for the 1-2-3. The winner of the match by pinfall is Baron Black. Wow, what a moment. Years in the making here. Literally years in the making for this moment. Done in Baron Black's hometown against a guy they all desperately wanted to see get beaten, even if it wasn't Baron Black and there wasn't this story. Cutler did a great job of, no matter who he fought against, they would have wanted to see win. But it had to be a hometown guy that was 0-50 coming into the match, getting his first win. It was absolutely perfect. This couldn't have gone any better for the whole Baron Black story. And like I said, I wasn't saying blowing smoke up anybody's butt by saying Baron Black's been improving a lot. He really has been improving a lot lately. So I could see maybe Baron Black getting a chance. I don't know. It looks maybe like ROH is going to become the NXT or the developmental system of AEW. And I think Baron Black already has proved that he's a good technical wrestler. He could hang in ROH. One of Baron Black's most recent matches was against, let's see, where did I write it down? But I didn't write it down, but it was Jonathan Grisham and that just tells you right there that he's a good professional wrestler. So hopefully, and as if it couldn't get any better, we get to hear Baron Black's music for the first time here as well after he wins. So that was pretty cool stuff. And this has already been one of the best episodes of Elevation ever. And we've got a big main event to go. So I had mentioned a few weeks ago that I would love to see JD Drake have more competitive matches against better competition, because JD Drake had yet another great match against Dante Martin. Even though JD lost, he looked great in that match. And then he'll really have a chance to prove himself here in the main event of Elevation against one of the hottest wrestlers in the world, top 5 in my opinion, at least top 10 in the world right now, Konosuke Takeshita. So this is going to be great. Takeshita versus JD Drake. JD comes into this match with a terrible 4-41 record, and he's 2-18 in singles matches. So Takeshita, since we saw Takeshita 2 weeks ago, he had a great match against AEW World Champion Jon Moxley in a losing effort. Since then, Takeshi's been all over the country, gaining even more experience and confidence. He had matches against Impact World Champion Josh Alexander, at the time ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham, and MLW Openweight Champion Davey Richards, all in that 12-day span since he lost to Moxley on Dynamite. So this guy's just not slowing down. Takeshi's one of the hottest wrestlers in the world. Like I said, fighting Impact Champion, ROH Champion, MLW Champion, AEW Champion, all in a 2-week span. This guy's going crazy right now. So because of that, Takeshi comes into this match tonight as the clear favorite for a change against JD Drake, because he's been going up against tough competition and losing a lot of these matches. So Takeshi comes into this match now, AEW record of 7-5, 6-4 in singles matches. Those 4 losses were the Moxley, Kingston, Hangman, and Jay Lethal. That's the kind of competition that Takeshi's been having. So 4 of the top talents in AEW right there. So JD Drake comes out first. But then when Takeshi's music hit, the crowd absolutely erupts with cheers. So, wow, in a short period of time, only about 3 or 4 months, really, Takeshi has become a star in America. Great stuff to see that he can just come right in. Not a lot of people are really, unless you follow the DDT promotion, which I don't, a little too much goofiness goes on there. But I might have to check him out a little bit more. Especially if that's where Takeshi ends up going after his excursion's done. I really hope that's not the case, because I don't like all the blow-up doll stuff and wrestling 9-year-old girls and stuff like that. But if Takeshi's there, I might have to look in, at least take a peek. So anyway, we start super fast here. This is our main event of the night. JD Drake versus Konosuke Takeshita. They trade shoulder tackles. 2 big guys here, but JD Drake definitely has the weight advantage with about 300 pounds to maybe 250, 260 on Takeshita. And then Takeshi hits a nasty leg lariat right after those shoulder tackles. My goodness, that was awesome. That leg lariat was sick just to start the match out here. So that was by Takeshi. Huge haluva kick now in the corner by Takeshi. And Excalibur even calls it, a hell of a kick there, calling it basically by name for Sami Zayn. So many Sammys in wrestling nowadays. But JD Drake then blocks the next move and throws Takeshi hard to the outside. Bad looking landing for Takeshi there, who lands on his back, but gets back in the ring pretty soon after. JD then hits a scoop slam and some big strikes. Takeshi then hits a big forearm, but JD fires right back with a really loud chop. Takeshi then hits a beautiful leaping lariat, just like the Undertaker's leaping lariat, but better. And he calls that the Takeshi line, I think he calls it. And then JD then counters the Blue Thunder Bomb here with a nice headlock takedown. JD then dodges a running strike, knee strike, but Takeshi goes crashing again to the outside off of JD dodging that. And Takeshi not only did that, but hit his knee hard on the top turnbuckle on his way out. So he's holding on to his knee now. Some really hard shots in this match. And these guys are definitely wrestling as if it was on Dynamite, and I completely respect them for that. I watch and review Elevation the exact same way I watch and review Dynamite. So I definitely thank them for this effort here. Really hard hitting match here. JD then follows Takeshi out of the ring and then hits one of his favorite moves in his arsenal. JD Drake hits the nasty, I call it the ricochet punch, but it's he springs Takeshi off the ropes. They're standing on the outside of the ring. Takeshi goes springing back first off the ropes, right back in, and springs into a big punch. JD then rolls him in the ring, Takeshi that is, for a 2 count, and I absolutely love that move. So Takeshi now fights back with a huge German suplex on the 300-pounder. That looked great. JD then hits a nice looking backdrop suplex of his own. Right after that, it hits a cannonball senton, and JD hits a beautiful top rope moonsault. Didn't even know he had that in his arsenal. Takeshi is able to kick out of this. Now JD Drake's biting the head where, if you remember, Takeshi got busted open in that Moxley match. JD Drake's trying to bite the forehead here, but that just fires up Takeshi, who then hits a Blue Thunder Bomb and a giant high knee strike to the face for the 1-2-3. The winner of the match by pinfall is Konosuke Takeshita, and wow, what a match. It was definitely main event worthy. They went out there wrestling as if it was a big time event, and not like a lot of people wrestle on this show like, oh, it's just a YouTube show. So this was definitely one of the best episodes of Elevation I've ever seen, and even saying that, it was still worthy of the main event here. I mean, of course, my favorite match was Sakura versus Toni Storm, but that could have also been the main event. But I get it because no, they're about even. So either one of those could have been. This is definitely one of the best episodes of Elevation I've ever seen. Last week episode of Elevation was so bad, I advise people to skip it. But this week's episode of Elevation is unmissable. Definitely go watch this. You can watch this Dark Elevation, AEW Dark Elevation from July 25th, 2022. You can find it on YouTube. It's up there for free, and it looked in pretty good quality too. It looked almost 4K on my TV, so which was an upgrade from previous weeks. Great episode here. I really loved it. We've got more stuff coming up tonight. I could probably take a quick look on, see what we have on Dark. No, it never really tells us. I'm sure. Oh, it's on Twitter right now, but I don't have enough time. I don't like to have too much dead air. But like I said, that women's block really showed us something, that this crowd was cheering really loudly for a lot of those women all in a row, especially Toni Storm. Toni Storm. Why can't I remember? Toni Storm, Kris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida just all got super cheered from the crowd. So really great stuff. Do not miss this episode. I'll be back when I can with the episode of Dark, and then of course I'll be here for Dynamite and Rampage as well. So, and if you missed it, I've got the review up on this channel for ROH Death Before Dishonor, another really good card. So we've been getting some great wrestling lately. I've also got all the G1 shows up, so don't miss those. A lot going on, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Hope to see you there. Have a good one. Peace.